Hi there. Welcome to Innovation Driven Portfolio Management. My name is Rich Weller, and I'll be guiding you through a number of slides here over the next hour. There's a quote that we've captured here and put on the very first page that I thought was kind of interesting. I thought I'd share that with you. It says, "Without change, there is no innovation, creativity, or incentive for improvement." And I like the second sentence a little better, which says, "Those who initiate change will have a better opportunity to manage the change that is inevitable." So those are good words to live by as we're thinking about innovation today. So they always say that you should, before giving a presentation, you should work to understand your audience. I assume if you're here and you're watching this video, then you have some interest in the topic of innovation and or portfolio management. We in today's session we have a number of slides that we're going to cover, but actually there's really only 7 different topics that we're going to touch on. Again, it'll take us about an hour to get through these. The first one, I'm going to talk a little bit about me and my background. We'll explore what is innovation. We'll work to understand why it's important. We'll also talk about what is portfolio management. We'll then look at the 5 E's of innovation, as well as the 3 parts of a successful solution, and then we'll close things out with a few case studies. So that's our 7 different things that we're going to take a look at. So about me. My name is Rich Weller. I'm not about to sit here and read all of those bullets on the slide. I'll let you read through that. I'd like to perhaps tell you a little bit about me, though, in a little bit more of a story format. I'm from a town which, believe it or not, is a population of about 900 people. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and as you can see on the slide there, I do have experience in a number of different things. I actually started my first business when I was in the 3rd grade. Now, again, we didn't generate a whole lot of revenue, but it was for real. Outside of that, I guess I have started 3 other small businesses. One of which I sold. One of which I had to, it just kind of ended because I ended up moving, and then one I still kind of dabble with today. I currently work for an organization called P Cubed, or Program Planning Professionals, P to the 3rd power. We have consultants around the world. And we're experts in project, program, and portfolio management, as well as this topic of innovation. And I think you'll get to see some of the details behind that today. The next thing I would like to tell you about is, again, from a very small town, and I didn't even hear the word project manager till I was about 30-some years old, and in my MBA program, that was the first time I heard the word project manager, and then kind of went on from there, and became a project manager, and even went to earn my PMP certification, as you can see there on the slide. And cut my teeth also again in project management, and then came to work for P Cubed. It wasn't until I came to work for P Cubed about 10 years ago that I heard the term portfolio management, and portfolio management was really intriguing to me. It was really interesting, and I did a lot of research on my own and on my own time to understand portfolio management. All the ins and outs and the processes around that. As a matter of fact, I even developed a 60-some page PowerPoint slide to help me understand and actually that PowerPoint deck was called Enterprise Portfolio Management, the connection between business management and project management. And again, it was just a whole lot of learning for me, and it was really intriguing for me. You might also find it interesting that I then went on to be a volunteer for the Project Management Institute, and ended up developing or contributing my time in order to develop their standard for portfolio management, as you can see here. And believe it or not, my name is actually in the back of this book as a contributing author, so I thought you might find that interesting. And I guess this about me, perhaps maybe it should have been labeled why you should listen to me, or why am I qualified to talk on these on this topic of innovation and portfolio management. And I guess maybe I'm giving you some reasons here. The other thing that you might find interesting is the fact that I didn't stumble into this concepts around innovation until about a year ago. And since then, again, it's been like a kid in a candy shop, just really striving to learn more about innovation and how it integrates into an organization, and especially how it integrates into portfolio management and ultimately project management. And I think as we move through this presentation today, hopefully I'll be able to share some of that insight with you, and you'll learn some tricks or some thoughts as well. And then lastly, or the last thing that I'll share with you from this slide here is I'm currently an instructor at the college level. And hopefully I can take some of those tricks that I've learned in the classroom and again help transfer knowledge to you today. So that's about me, enough about me, and let's move on with our topic now. Number 2, the second topic is, what is innovation? You can see there on the slide, innovation is the conversion of knowledge and ideas into new or improved products, processes, and services to gain a competitive advantage. So it's not just a product. I mean, as you see there, it could be a process or a service. And then it's not just coming up with those ideas, but it's ultimately coming up with those ideas to make money, to be give you or your organization that competitive advantage. And you see we've got a few things, a few items, few innovative organizations there depicted in the picture. You can see Netflix, who basically turned the movie rental business on its side a couple of times, actually, moving from initially from the brick and mortar to delivering movies via your mailbox, and then most recently delivering movies, streaming them to you via the internet. So pretty innovative company there. You can see Dyson with innovating with their sweeper there, and then the smart car, as well as the readers that have come out. These are all innovative products. You can see a couple of links here. If you were to follow this PowerPoint slide, you would be able to find out more on Netflix as well as Dyson. A couple pretty cool videos there. The next slide that we've got here says, well, innovation is not invention. Where and these terms come from our good friends at Wikipedia, is where I snagged this information that says innovation is not invention, whereas invention is the direct creation of ideas. And they also say that innovation is not improvement. That's basically doing the same things better. And I actually like to think of it as more that these are not, that they're not part of innovation. They're not innovation themselves, but really they're contributors towards innovation, or they could be like predecessors almost for being innovative. And if you'll remember, that previous slide says it's about coming up with converting ideas and knowledge in order to gain a competitive advantage. So it's not just inventing something, but it's inventing something, then kind of profiting on that. And also, as I was doing my research, around innovation, I stumbled into the innovation life cycle, and many of you have probably taken business classes, and when I look at this innovation life cycle that's been put together, to me it looks a whole lot like the S curve that we learned about back in our back in school and in our business classes, where you have a new product development, where it comes out, it's released, you have a great high demand for that product, and then it kind of tapers off, and then you come out with a new product or revise that product. And so the innovation life cycle, as you can see there, looks a whole lot like the product life cycle that we learned about back in business school. So I just thought that was interesting. Thought I'd share that with you to give you a better handle on what innovation is. And so why is it important? Well, it's important because of all these bullet points you see on the slide here, and we're constantly being pressured to reduce costs or increase efficiency. There's the world is becoming smaller and smaller as we're facing global competition. Our time to market is getting crunched, and just a number of reasons why innovation is important. And the more innovative we can be as an organization, again, the better competitive advantages you'll have, the quicker you are being able to get products to the market, and that's some of the reasons why innovation is important. One of the things you may find interesting is just this past week, I received in the mail a magazine from the Project Management Institute called PM Network. What you might find interesting here is that the topic that's on their cover, governing creativity, marrying project management with innovation. And I had actually already had most of my all of my slides put together before I received this. And so rather than tearing anything up with respect to the slide deck, I thought I'd just add to it. And this is probably a good point to add one of their quotes. So one of the quotes that's coming straight from this magazine, it says, "With the competition companies face in this global market, innovation is the only game left in town." I thought that was a pretty good quote. That's coming from a gentleman within the Forrester Research Organization. Very, very timely as well. So again, another reason why innovation is important. So now I'll ask the question, if anyone recognizes the picture that's depicted in this background. If you're into aviation at all, or perhaps just have watched the news, you may recognize this background being from a picture of the Boeing's 787 Dreamliner. And the reason that I've included this picture in the slide is because of this Boeing and this airplane that they've developed. It's being touted as very innovative from a few different fronts. One with respect to the materials that they used to build the plane. Basically using composite materials, which makes it 20%. Yes, the plane is 20% more efficient than the plane that it's about to replace. So that's an incredible incredible savings. They were also very innovative in the electronics and computer systems that have been incorporated into the aircraft, as well as the aerodynamics. Now, don't ask me about the details of around how they were innovative around the aerodynamics of the plane. If you want to learn more about this Boeing 787 Dreamliner, you'll see a hyperlink here, in which there's a pretty cool little video on that. And the last reason why I pulled him onto this slide with respect to innovation is because they basically changed the way they developed the plane or manufactured the planes. They reinvented their manufacturing process, where they had their suppliers do a lot of the pre-building and then shipping into one location to do a final build. So, and that's kind of very innovative for them. So the next slide I want to talk about is sources of innovation. And speaking of innovation, how many of you all have a cell phone? I'm sorry, a smartphone in your pocket right now, or laying beside you. I'm sure the percentage is pretty high given today's world. And so, with respect to the smartphone, I wanted to share a couple little stories that I've had or encountered. I was on a plane trip back in December, and kind of a longer trip, so there was a movie playing. I wasn't actually listening to it, but I could see the movie, and it was a concert. There was a concert playing, and they kept shifting screens from the concert playing to someone talking, and then back to the concert playing. And I thought it was interesting on one way, in the fact that no longer do we hold up cigarette lighters like we used to. Now we hold up cell phones to light the crowd. But this video was also interesting as I kept watching it again without audio, and all of a sudden, no, actually, I take that back. I did put the audio in, and the gentleman that was singing, he was actually talking he was singing kind of slowly, and he stopped and he said, okay, everyone put your hands in the air. And when folks put their hand in the air, all of a sudden the whole audience lit up, because they had given members of the audience a bracelet which had different color lights, and apparently these were somehow controlled from a control panel, and now the crowd just became even more a part of the show. And I really thought that was an interesting concept, a very innovative concept for that band, and just a really cool story that I would share with you. I did do some research to find out who that band was, and the band is actually Coldplay, and we could if we were to click on this hyperlink here, you would actually see that video and how those bracelets lit up. So I just wanted to share that with you. On another plane trip, you may find this interesting. I was walking through a store there, and I just happened to, and this was just 2 weeks ago, I happened to see this magazine on the shelf. This is Fast Company, and this edition is the 50 most innovative companies of 2013. They've been doing this survey for a number of years, and I'll ask you at this point, who do you think ranked number one as the most innovative company of 2013? And I'll give you 4 choices. Here's your 4 choices: Apple, Google, Facebook, or Nike. And so you think about that for just a moment, and while you're thinking, I'll tell you the answer. Believe it or not, is Nike. Yeah, that's the company that earned the reward for most innovative, ranked #1. And the reason for that, and you may find this a bit ironic, is one of their products is called a fuel band. And it too is kind of like a bracelet that you wear on your wrist, and it keeps track of like how many miles you've walked or how many calories burned, and shows up as green when you achieve your goal for the day. So I just really thought that was interesting and a little bit ironic, those couple of different things there. And also the fact that Nike ranked #1 above some of those other companies. Also in this magazine, they give like a 5-year trend for the companies that have ranked in the top over the last 5 years, and it's pretty interesting articles to read in there. So I thought I'd share that with you. So now, on to the slide that we have here on the screen. The first thing, again, it's about sources of innovation, and this first little graph here, I know it's a little bit hard to read, but the main thing I wanted to share with you, this is from a IBM survey, by the way, and the main thing I wanted to share with you is that it resulted, or the results show that employees contribute most. They're the most significant source of ideas are employees. I've got results from another survey here, and this survey was one that surveyed 524 managers in diverse service and product industries. And you can see their question is, where do opportunities come from? And 46% of those opportunities or those ideas were internally generated. So two different surveys, basically the same answer is our people, our employees, our internal people contribute the most great ideas. The other thing I'll show you here, or share with you here, is that innovation can be driven by creativity or necessity. And you see on the screen here, and I don't know if anyone has actually tested it yet, but you'll see on the screen a graphic. And does anyone know what that graphic is called? Of course, I wouldn't expect you to be able to hear you, but the answer is it's called a QR code. And I'm sure if you didn't know the name, I'm sure you've probably seen those around as they're becoming more and more popular. And what they are, it's basically a barcode, and you would take your cell phone and just kind of scan that, and believe it or not, it works right off of the screen or off of a printed item as well, poster, picture, product. And simply by scanning that with your phone, you would need a little application. It will take you to a website, and that's what I've done right there. So really, you can see that, that's a pretty creative thing in my mind, using a barcode like that and being able to scan it and take you to a website. The other item there is similar in nature. It's a website that's already exists out there called tinyurl.com, and in my mind, it's a product that has come to exist because of necessity. So how does it work? Well, what you can do is you can take a really long URL, like say greater than 256 characters, and you can paste it into a spot within this tinyurl.com's website, and it will convert it into a much shorter URL, just like you see here. And so, to be quite honest, if you were to follow either that QR code, or if you were to type in that URL into your smartphone, it will actually take you to richweller.com, and from richweller.com, that is where you will be able to find not only the link to this video, but also the PowerPoint presentation that supports this presentation as well. So again, sources of information, sources of innovation there. I thought you might find that interesting. Seeing that a couple surveys say employees are number one contributor, and then finally seeing innovation being used with respect to creativity as well as being driven by necessity. So the next thing I'd like to talk about, this is our number 4 of 7, and that is, what is portfolio management? Well, portfolio management is the centralized management of one or more portfolios, which includes identifying, prioritizing, authorizing, managing, and controlling projects, programs, and other related work to achieve specific business objectives. That's a mouthful, and that actually is from the Project Management Institute. Now, I did not actually write that sentence, as that's pretty wordy, but I'll just leave it there for a second, and I want to talk to you about, because I'm going to give you a shorter definition of portfolio management, one that may make a little more sense, one that may resonate better with you. But first, I want to tell you about project management. I want to do a compare and a contrast between portfolio management and project management. So because one of the ways to compare or contrast those is, they say project management is about doing things right. In other words, you're given a project, or you're being asked to manage a project. You're going to do it to the letter. You're going to follow all the steps. You're going to put a check mark by all of the things that we need to do. Basically, you're going to work as hard as you can managing that project and bringing it in on time, within budget, and meeting the scope of that project. That's, again, project management is about doing things right, whereas in my mind, portfolio management is about doing the right things, and it's about helping figure out what should we be working on, or what are those right things, what should we be doing, and ensuring that we're not doing things that we shouldn't be, and are there things that we should be doing that we're not. And really, it's a portfolio management gives us insight into, or I should say gives us improved decision making ability by looking into our portfolio, our collection of potential projects, and helping us decide which ones are the right projects that we should move forward and begin working on. That, in my mind, is a much more simplistic answer to what is portfolio management than the long definition from the Project Management Institute. Now, I realize that many folks out there also, I could sit here and give you terms around portfolio management, like when working to set that up, we have to understand about strategic objectives and a balanced scorecard approach, and business drivers, in a business case, prioritization, sequencing, and or pipeline management. These are all terms and concepts that are incorporated into portfolio management. This presentation today is a little bit higher level, because the purpose of today's session is to show you how to integrate innovation into portfolio management. I'm still working to make that connection, and as opposed to deep diving the details as to how to do portfolio management. Today's presentation is about how to integrate innovation into portfolio management. And so what I'd like to do now is move us over and take a look at the 5 E's of innovation. And those 5 E's are envision, engage, evolve, evaluate, and execute. And that's it. I'm done. No, not really. What I'd like to do now is to take each one of these E's and kind of explain what each one is. So let's start off with envision. Envision is our first one, and what is envision? This is all about coming up with ideas, or coming up with the idea, or better to say it better, ideas. This is all about kind of brainstorming, sitting around, thinking about all the things that are possible, all the new products that we could possibly make, or the new processes that we could put in place to improve the organization, the new way of doing things, or perhaps the creative idea of taking two things that aren't currently connected and somehow incorporating the two together to give us that new innovative idea. And this is really the soft side of things. This is the art part. I'm trying to say the art part, and it's a gift. This is that kind of, a lot of people have this gift to be real creative, and to be able to dream up things. The thing about it is all these ideas, they could be driven or they could also be driven or inspired not only by creativity or necessity, as we mentioned earlier, but also perhaps there's organizational goals that we are thinking about, that we could drop some potential ideas into here that would help us achieve those goals. I also wanted to share with you, and you'll notice these little bubbles here. So what I'm trying to depict is, it's not just enough to come up with all of these ideas. We really need to document them, to capture them in some way. Jot them down so we don't lose sight of all these great ideas. And it's kind of like brainstorming. There's no bad idea. It's just, you're just trying to capture all of the ideas and get them documented. And I'd like to pause right here and share with you another little story about innovation that I stumbled into, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years ago. I was teaching a project management kind of 101 class, and I was explaining the concept of the triple constraint, which is many people probably heard of this. The triple constraint for a project is scope, cost, and time. And there's a saying where if you give me two, or you can pick two, but you have to give me the third variable so that I can control and meet the other two. And you may have even heard the concept of good, fast, or cheap. You pick which two you want. Similar concept of scope, cost, and time. But anyhow, I was saying that when working with management, they can't dictate all three. They can have the scope and the cost, but you have to give me let me set the timing on the project. You can have the timing and the scope, but you got to give me the variable of the cost. And someone raised their hand in the class and said, actually, I believe if the management were to lock in all three variables of scope, cost, and time, that would make the team come up with a very innovative solution. And as I thought about that, I've thought about that a number of times since hearing that, and I think that's a great concept. And don't let me be the one to don't put my name on the concept when you go back and discuss this with your project managers, but I thought that was a very, very interesting concept, that actually constraining all three variables will force folks to be innovative, thinking outside of the box in how to achieve all three at the same time. So anyhow, I thought that was a good story. Envision, it's all about coming up with the ideas, very soft side of management. and it's about documenting all of those ideas. So the next stage, if you will, here is when we've got all these ideas. Well, maybe some of them are really good. Maybe some of them are, I should say, are pretty good, and we want to kind of involve some others in or share ideas with others, and that's when we move into this engage stage. So maybe not all of them move from envision to engage, but maybe we've got some that we want to share with others. So this engage is about engaging with others, and so who are these others that we would want to share thoughts with, or share these potential these ideas with? Employees or co-workers is, the part of the others. They would fall into that category. And I'll tell you a story now. In poking around in some of my stuff as I was researching about innovation, I read a story about Apple, who built an office building, and they structured that. Mr. Jobs structured that office facility so that all of the restrooms were in the center of the building, as well as I think there was a kind of an eating place there, and there's like some common areas. It was all in the center, one central location. And at first, no one liked it because folks were having to walk a long way to this centralized location. But he did it for a reason, and the reason was it caused people to bump into one another, to have hallway conversations, to look one another in the eye and exchange ideas, and so I just really thought that was a really cool idea for fostering an innovative environment. Who else might be the others that you would engage with? Your customers or partners. You might share your thoughts for a potential idea with either one of those groups and solicit feedback, or have them help you expound upon this idea a little bit. And really, that's what we're engaging with these folks, so that we can get their thoughts brought into this idea, so to build it out a little bit more, if you will. And so who else would fall into the others category? Well, Ford. Let me tell you another little story. Ford and Toyota, back in August 2011, they actually came together and joined forces to develop a new hybrid system for their light trucks, and so very much competitors, but they joined forces to build out an idea. The next thing I want to share with you here while we're in this engage topic is also, while I was in that same bookstore, bookstore in the airport at the same time where I found the Fast Company, right beside Fast Company was Scientific American, and look at the title. Evolution of Creativity, the Rise of the Innovative Mind. I thought, you got to be kidding me. So I picked this magazine up and read the article that was in here, and I just wanted to share with you a few sentences out of this article. And so what they were doing, they went back in time, millions of years ago, starting like 3.4 million years ago, and kind of looked at people and how innovative they were over time. And a lot of research went into this, as you can imagine, coming from Scientific American. And here's one of the sentences. In Africa, some 90,000 years ago, and in Europe, about 40,000 years ago, Mark Thomas, an evolutionary geneticist at the University College London, thinks this push came from demographics. So what he was saying is there was a ratcheting up in the innovative processes, again in Africa about 90,000 years ago, in Europe about 40,000 years ago. His premise is simple. The larger a hunter-gatherer group is, the greater the chances are that one member will dream up an idea that could advance a technology. Moreover, individuals in a large group who frequently rubbed shoulders with neighbors had a chance of learning a new innovation, had a better chance of learning a new innovation than those in small, isolated groups. It's not how smart you are, Thomas says, it's how well connected you are. It's not how, and this was talking about people 90,000 years ago. It's not how smart you are, it's how well connected you are. He goes on to say that they set up a test. Two colleagues developed a computer model to simulate effects of demographics and the ratcheting up of our innovation process. These tests also showed, again, looking at groups of people over time, a long time ago, it also showed that large social networks actively spur human creativity. Large social networks actively spur human creativity. And I went, really? Because if you think about our society today and all of our social our internet, our web and our internet and our social media technology, think about how big, think about our social network today. It's basically the world is now connected through technology. And so you could imagine our rate of innovation is just moving at a pace it's probably never has before because we are so connected. Anyhow, I just thought that was interesting, and I thought I would share that with you. So let us now move on to our next stage in the life cycle. Our next stage is evolve. So this is where we really put some work into this idea. We build it out a little bit. We take this idea and decompose it down to a point where we can quantify this idea. In other words, we're trying to figure out how well does this idea align to our corporate strategy. Does this idea, if we were to do this, does it fall in line with, it would help us achieve our corporate strategy? And then also another way to quantify this idea was how much will this thing cost to produce? How much will this thing cost to implement? How long will it take us to do this, to complete this idea? And then what would be the benefit of doing this? If we were to do this, let's quantify the benefit of doing this for our organization. So that's what we would do with our ideas or our potential products when we're in the evolve stage. Now, one thing that to note, this could be done by an individual, but as mentioned, as you heard in the article, it's probably best done by a group or team. So the next step, and you'll notice that as we're moving left to right, our number of bubbles that pass from one stage to the next get whittled down. So now we're moving on to the evaluate stage. So once we've got all of these potential ideas quantified in one way or multiple ways, we now have the ability to evaluate them. We can compare these various ideas or potential projects, right? Because that's really what they are. We can compare them against one another, and in this stage is when we decide which one of these projects are the right projects for us to work on. If you remember that concept. So in this evaluate stage, we're trying to decide what is the right things for us to work on. We would also have insight into how much it would cost us to deliver all of the potential projects that are in our portfolio. In other words, we could kind of stack them all up and see, hey, do we have enough budget to do we have enough money or budget to do all of these potential projects? It would also give us insight if we were to stack them all up and if we were to capture the right data in our evolve stage to evaluate. If we were to capture the manpower or effort that would be required to do these, we would be able to look in, stack all the potential projects up, and then that's basically our demand, and then we would look at our internal resource pool, and that's our supply. And now you're back to just economics 101. Do we have enough people to do all this work? Inevitably, you're going to find out that we have constraints, whether it's with respect to our budget, how much money we can spend, or with respect to our resources. In other words, can we do all of these potential projects? And this process of quantifying them and stacking them up against one another, not all of them are going to get to move to the next stage. And really, this collection of projects that we have right here, this is kind of our idea portfolio, or our project portfolio that we would be looking at here. And again, what we're trying to do is trying to do the right things. We have processes in place that helps us figure out which projects are the right ones to work on. So the next stage in our life cycle is execute, and this is about doing things right, as mentioned before. Now that we know which projects we're going to work on, let's go do it, and let's follow our well-defined project management methodology that everyone has, that many organizations have become very good at. Now we follow our guidebook, our recipe book to the letter, and move these projects through its project life cycle. And ultimately, we end up with this, and that is the finished project. And in this case, if you look at it real closely, that, my friends, is your better mousetrap. And that's what we built there, your better mousetrap. That's when we're all done. So that's our 5 stages of innovation, and hopefully when you look at that kind of makes some sense. And just kind of to summarize here, if you'll think about it, the execute stage, that's really our project management. That's where we're doing project management. And our evolve and evaluate, that's where we're performing portfolio management. Again, there's defined processes and detailed processes that we could leverage to help us with respect to project management. And just like the book, this book, many people aren't aware, but there are defined processes to or methodologies to help us with respect to portfolio management. As that's kind of, in project management has become pretty standardized across many organizations, a commodity, if you will. Portfolio management is starting to get there. I remember, again, about 10 years ago, it was kind of a new concept, but now it too is becoming a commodity. And then the newest wave, and that's what we'll call innovation management here. And this is the latest bolt on, if you will, or earlier step in the enterprise portfolio life cycle. It's all about in setting your organization up and capturing all these ideas and moving the best ones through to a completed product. So again, the 5 E's of innovation. And now let me move on to number 6 of 7. And number 6 is the 3 parts of a successful solution. And probably everyone has heard that it takes, in order to be successful, in my mind, a solution is not just a tool. Many folks think when they use the word solution, they are talking about some kind of piece of software. I say a successful solution involves people, process, as well as technology. And so let's look for a moment here. Why do we say people? How do we integrate people into this? I've already shown you. The people are your biggest contributors of ideas from our research survey. And how do we? And so as I was putting this presentation together, I went back and I remembered something called a time management matrix, and this was something that I used in a supervision class that I taught a long time ago. The author was talking about where we spend our time, and the fact that there's different kinds of things that we spend our time on. A lot of in this first quadrant, we do things that are urgent and important, and those are crisis and stuff we have to react to. And then there's some things over here in quadrant 2 that are not urgent and important, where we end up spending time in a day there. And also there's a quadrant 3 where things are urgent and not important, a number of interruptions and phone calls and emails. That stuff falls in quadrant 3. And then there's stuff that's not urgent and not important, and this is just kind of busy work, stuff that you like to do as opposed to stuff that you should be doing. And the whole concept of this time management matrix is really to make you more aware of what you're doing in a day, and how best to leverage your time. And the concept was, or is, that we should do less in quadrant 3, stuff that's urgent but not important, stuff that's nagging at us but it's not really important, and we should do more things in quadrant 2, things that are not urgent but they're important. So stop reacting down here in quadrant 3 and start being proactive. And you'll notice that one of the things in here, and this was built, I built this again probably 10 years ago, before I was even slightly aware of innovation management, but you'll notice that right there, recognizing new opportunities. That's all about that first stage of that first stage in the process of envisioning. That's about setting aside time, or stop, long story short, it's about coming up with time to think. And the reason I bring this up is, if you're wanting to create a more innovative organization, you need to have time to think. You need to have time to think creatively. So stop doing this reactionary stuff. Start, how about this? Don't answer your phone, let it go to voicemail. Don't spend all day instantly reacting to emails. Let them pull up. Answer emails 3 or 4 times a day only. And this is a way in how you could then take some of that time, stop being reactionary, start being proactive, and also ensure that your folks are moving in the same fashion. People, as you can imagine, are required to ensure these ideas move across the stages of this innovation life cycle. So the next thing that we've got, remember, is process. So people, process, where, as you can imagine, underneath each one of those stages is more detailed. We would need to come up with more detailed processes to support all of the steps, the detailed steps that occur when these ideas are in these various stages. And then finally people, process, and then finally technology. And there are many software solutions out there that could be beneficial in being part of this solution, but I'm tossing out the Microsoft Stack as being a potential solution, as this is the software that I've seen firsthand work and have experience with this. So this is the example that I'll put here on the slide. So again, a solution, an innovation program. A successful innovation program needs to incorporate people, process, as well as technology. So we're up to number 7, and number 7 is just kind of capping things off with some case studies. And the first case study here is from an oil and gas organization where they aligned their portfolio to their strategy, leveraging a number of these concepts that we've talked about. Ultimately, they ended up improving costs, and you can see there their cost savings the benefits that they realized by going through this exercise, their cost savings was $120 million on approximately a $350 million annual spend, and that's quite a high percentage. Another case study that we'd like to talk about here just briefly is from an automotive organization in which they implemented an innovation and portfolio optimization solution, and they were able to improve their engine performance as well as being more dynamic in responding to their customer demands. And then the last case study that I'll toss up here on the screen is a healthcare organization that optimized their strategic investment. They identified $10 million in IT savings and $4 million in new discretionary capability projects. And in implementing this solution, their solution, or the solution that they implemented, they were able to have much more improved decision making. And so, really, does it work? Yeah, let me just tell you, it does work if you do it in the right way. So, in closing here, I just want to say that Charles Darwin actually had it right. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent either, but the one most responsive to change, and that's pretty good. So finally, all is now in your hands. Change. Don't just follow. Innovate. Lead. It's all up to you. And so I'll close out. I'll give you my email address, my QR code to richweller.com, as well as the tiny URL to richweller.com, and from there you can connect with me via LinkedIn or Twitter. And I thank you for your time, and I hope you gain value from this presentation. Thank you very much.